There are some things we use every day, but almost never stop to question. The chair we sit on, the road we walk on, the language we speak, and money. Money is one of the biggest systems humans have ever created. We use it every day. We exchange it. We save it. We worry about it. We build our lives around it. But most of us rarely ask a simple question. What exactly is money? For most of my life, I thought I already knew the answer. Money was something you could hold, something you could put in your pocket, something you could count with your hands. A coin, a note, something physical. And that made sense, because that was the world I saw. I remember growing up in a time when information felt different. Not because information was unavailable, but because it had a different speed. If you wanted to learn something, you had to search for it. Maybe you asked someone. Maybe you read a book. Maybe you waited for a program on television. Sometimes you discovered something by accident. The world felt bigger. A person on the other side of the planet was truly far away. A story from another country took time to reach you. A piece of knowledge had a journey. Then something changed. The internet arrived. And suddenly, the world started shrinking. The internet changed something fundamental. It changed how humans moved information. Before, information had limits. It traveled through physical things. Books, papers, television signals, human conversations. But now, a message could cross the world instantly. A person could teach millions without leaving their room. Someone could create something in one country and share it with someone thousands of kilometers away. Information became almost weightless. Distance became less important. The world was becoming digital. But there was one thing that seemed different. One thing that still belonged to the old world. Money. Think about this. When I send someone a photo, I don't send the original photo. I send information that represents the photo. When I send a message, I don't send physical words. I send information that another device reconstructs. But when I send money, what am I really sending? Am I sending paper? Usually not. Am I sending coins? Usually not. So what am I sending? The answer is something surprisingly simple. A record. A record that says, this value belongs to this person. That realization changes everything. Because maybe money was never really about the object. Maybe the object was only the first way humans represented value. When we look through history, we see something interesting. Money has always changed. Different civilizations use different things. Some use shells. Some use metals. Some use coins. Some use paper. And if someone from thousands of years ago saw our money today, they might find it strange. A small piece of paper? A plastic card? A number inside a phone? Why should any of these have value? Because the important part was never the object. The important part was trust. People agreed. This represents value. A shell was valuable because people trusted the system around it. A coin was valuable because people trusted the system around it. A bank balance is valuable because people trust the system around it. Money is not just an object. Money is an agreement. And this leads to something surprising. Digital money did not start with cryptocurrency. It started much earlier. Most money today is already digital. When you check your bank account, you are not looking at a pile of money somewhere with your name on it. You are looking at information. A number. A record. A statement about ownership. Banks became systems for maintaining these records. They keep track of who owns what, who transferred what, who received what. The money itself became less important than the information about the money. And for many years, this worked very well because the world matched the system. But then the world changed again. Businesses became global. People started working across borders. Someone could create something in one country and share it with someone thousands of kilometers away. The internet removed many boundaries, but money still carried some limitations from the old world. Sending value across borders could still be complicated. Different systems, different rules, different intermediaries, sometimes delays, sometimes extra costs. The world was becoming connected, but the way we move value was still catching up. Eventually, people started asking a question, a very simple question. But sometimes the simplest questions create the biggest changes. If information can move across the world instantly, why can't value? If I can send a message directly to another person, why does sending money require so many steps? If the internet created a world where people can interact globally, what should money look like in that world? This question was bigger than creating a better payment app. It was about something deeper. What is the best way to represent and move value in a digital age? This is where Bitcoin entered the story. And I think this is where many people misunderstand it. They see Bitcoin as the beginning of digital money. But that is not really what happened. Digital money already existed. Banks already used digital records. Online payments already existed. Bitcoin was not the invention of digital money. It was an experiment around a different question. What if a digital system could allow people to transfer value without depending on a single organization controlling the record? That was the idea. A shared system, a network, a different way of thinking about trust. Whether someone believes Bitcoin will succeed or fail. The question it introduced was fascinating. Who decides what makes a financial system trustworthy? And the story did not stop there. Once people started exploring these ideas, more questions appeared. What if a digital network could do more than transfer value? What if it could run programs? What if agreements could happen automatically? This led to new experiments like Ethereum. Different idea, different approach, but connected to the same bigger question. How can digital networks create new ways for people to coordinate? Then another question appeared. What if people wanted digital money, but still connected to familiar currencies? This created another category, stablecoins, digital representations of existing currencies. Different technologies, different goals, but the same underlying pressure. A world becoming digital. When people talk about crypto, they often focus on the technology, the coins, the prices, the arguments, the competition. But I think the bigger story is something else. The bigger story is adaptation. Human systems always change when the world around them changes. The way we communicate changed. The way we work changed. The way we create changed. The way we exchange information changed. And money, one of the oldest systems humans created, is going through that same process. The question was never, will money change? Money has always changed. The real question was, how will money change this time? When I think back now, I realize something. I was looking at money from the outside. I saw the objects, the coins, the notes, the numbers, but I wasn't seeing the system underneath. Money was always more than the thing we held. It was always a way for humans to coordinate value, a shared language, a system of trust. The objects changed, the technology changed, but the question remained the same. How do humans decide what something is worth? So maybe digital money did not appear suddenly. Maybe it was not created by one invention. Maybe it was the result of a world slowly transforming. First, information became digital. Then, communication became digital. Then, work and commerce became digital. And eventually, money had to face the same transformation. We are still inside that transition. The final form is still being created. There are still questions. There are still experiments. There are still things we do not understand. And that is what makes this moment interesting. The future of money is not only about currencies. It is about how humans build systems of trust in a connected world. And understanding that journey helps us understand where we might be going next. This is MrBit Insights, exploring the ideas, technologies, and stories changing how the world works.